We are live. There we go. What is going on, everyone? Thank you all so very much for hanging out with us. Little hiccup there for a second before we went in. But everybody that's coming in at this time, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with us. Anybody that's watching this on the replay, we really appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. What's up, Jake? How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Busy day, but I'm here.
Oh yeah, well, we appreciate it definitely, and yeah, got some stuff to talk about. Lakers play the Sacramento Kings tonight, so hopefully we can pull off that win. That is a very much needed win, without a doubt. And we're inching closer. We're still only like 2 games out of a playoff spot, so hopefully we can squeeze one out here. But outside of that, just diving right into it. Um, Real quick to answer the question, Gary, what's going on? I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard that he's not playing, so I haven't gotten a notification about it. So I'm not really sure, at least at this time. I'm gonna say it all, but look what's happened. Refereeing women, that was on his NBA team, and yeah, I mean, maybe there's a connection there. But diving into the whole Laker topics and the messes is that so Russell Westbrook, I think it's a good place to start. So based on recent reports, the Lakers are still looking and shopping Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Now, I've said before, I mean, obviously, people that know me on the As It Stands Lakers and even here, I defended Russ a lot. We both have, right? And
Yeah.
I look, I think Russ is great. I think what he's doing for the Lakers has been great. But if there's a trade out there that makes sense, why not? Like chances are you really going to keep him after this season? Does he really even want to still be here? And how much is he going to cost? Where if you could get, say like a Hornets deal, and you could get like a PJ Washington, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre, something like that. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you? Why
Exactly.
wouldn't you make that deal? Because it's a trade that you're going to have. They're pieces that you're going to have for the next several seasons. Like if you can find the right deal, I'm not against it. It's got to be something that makes sense. And I mean, you can make the argument like it would be in the Lakers' best interest to trade him, even if not for this season, just for the future going forward, because $30 million in salary space isn't a lot. It's going to be really hard to round
Yeah.
out a roster with $30 million.
Yeah.
But you could get to like 56 million with Russ. Like with all of our all the pieces that we have like on the trade block right now, you can get close to like 80 million, 75 million, something
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Especially if like Bev and Nunn and
Yeah,
all
Lonnie
those
Walker and
guys.
all that. Yeah.
Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean you can get easily to like 80 million in salaries that you need to send out if you had to. Now obviously you don't want to just trade guys. Even Russ, you don't want to just trade Russ just to trade Russ. But if there's a deal that makes sense, then take it. Like if you find the right trade, you find the right move, then personally, I think, yes, it makes sense. But what are your thoughts on the whole Russell Westbrook trade?
I'm kind of in the same place, and we did defend him a lot, and like as we should. If you look at what he's did this season, like being the sixth man, I mean he's done great stuff for us. I mean I don't think that we would be here in this position. A few games out of six. I don't think we would be here if we would have, I guess, traded him more so early on. Like, let's say we would have went to go do that Buddy Hield and Miles Turner trade.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that our record would look this good. Um, so if you really look at it in hindsight, like we could win with him this year, but I do agree. That's why I'm in the same place. If we are trying to make a run next year, and this next year is what we're focusing on, and the attention is not so much on this year, then yeah, we need to go ahead and get him out of here. Just because, like you said, we need the cap space. As great as he's been for the team, something tells me he doesn't want to be in LA. Like, I think that like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, look, you just you just got a job, you're making all this money, but it's like, hey, unfortunately, you got to do this. You got to go. You got to do the stuff that you don't want to do. Like for Russ, I think that's coming off the bench, even though that he's bought in. That's fine, but something strangely tells me that next year, as soon as we finish the season, I think he's gonna want out of LA because his career is close to ending. He probably wants a starting position. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I can't see him staying with LA. I don't think we see him go. If a very, very worst case scenario, not worst, I don't say worst, but very, very latest case scenario, he stays until the end of this year, and that's it. We definitely don't see Russ in the Lakers uniform next year. That's my prediction.
I could definitely say. I mean, and to be honest, like I can't really blame him either. You know what I mean? Like they've been trying.
No, absolutely, absolutely
to trade you. They, like they didn't want you. Like the fans have been against. Like I don't like if he didn't want to be in LA like next season, I wouldn't really knock him for it. Like I said,
I feel like that's kind of hard to play. You're like trying to play, and you keep hearing all these trade rumors. It's like you guys keep shopping me around, and you're bringing me off the bench. It's like, dang.
And now all of a sudden you want me to say like, so I do, and again, I don't. You don't just trade him just to trade him. Don't just say, oh, we'll take on whatever, because you can make things worse, right? Like I'm sure we all remember.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I'm sure we all remember Luol Deng and Timothy Mozgov and that whole thing where we ended up, basically just doing a deal just to do a deal. Mitch Kupchak trying to save his job, and it turned
Luol Deng.
It turned into an absolute disaster. And that's the last thing we need, is to be in a situation like that. When you're talking about Russell Westbrook, it's like, yes, he's been. You know what you're going to get with him this season, right? Playing good defense. He's been a playmaker for this team, a huge playmaker. He's all of our bench essentially, right? He's the thing, but he also gives us like a different look, gives us a different perspective. Like when he's on the court, I mean, how many times have we been down, like 14-4, and Russ comes in the game, and all of a sudden we're up like 16-14 before like we even blink, and it's just gives that change of pace, but. Again, if you could find, we need starting level rotation talent. If we can find starting level rotation talent, now you're talking about like, it makes sense because like, let's say we just for hypotheticals, let's say we do the Hornets deal, right? Let's say you get Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, Terry Rozier, Kelly Oubre. Boom, right? So you got those four, right? Well, now or let's say the three. Let's say we don't get Kelly. Let's say it's PJ Washington, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, right? Let's say it's just three guys. So you get those three. Well, now your starting five can be, Schroeder or Rozier. So let's just say you want to do the new guys. You go Schroeder. You go Rozier, Gordon Hayward, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Miles Turner or something like that, or PJ Washington and Anthony Davis. So go, Rozier, Hayward, LeBron, Washington, Davis, right? And that's good. But what that also does is now Schroeder's off the bench. Austin Reeves is off the bench. Lonnie Walker's off the bench. Like Troy Brown is off the bench. Like all of these guys now go from like having to play starting level minutes to where we need them night in and night out to be consistent and be really good and put up, the other 50 points or whatever, to like now whatever they give us is just an added bonus. Now, if Austin Reeves gives us 15, it means it's that much more impactful. It's that much more significant. If Lonnie Walker gives us 15, right? Like, because all of the guys that we have outside of like Russ, LeBron, and AD, none of those guys are supposed to be playing the roles that they're playing, right? Exactly. Like Lonnie Walker's not supposed to be your third best player in your starting lineup. He's supposed to be your like fifth or like sixth, seventh best player, but instead he's the third best. That kind of thing. It's just that.
Well, he's really elevated his play too. Like that one's kind of like and I hear what you're saying though. He's typically not your like number one go-to option. Him or like a Reeves. Like you got Reeves really should be like a 6 option, but he has to start.
Better if your starting five is that good. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong. Like if Reeves is like your 5th best player, then like sure. Like if your other 4 are very solid, like sure. Like if we had like a really good, solid, other 4 guys, like if Austin Reeves is your starting 2 guard, I don't think it's the end of the world. Like I would be okay with that, but he shouldn't be your 3rd, 4th best player, right? Like he's not supposed to be that guy. He's supposed to be your 5th, 6th best player. No, and that's where the issue lies for the Lakers. And the only way to really get that huge turnaround is a Russell Westbrook trade. Now, personally, I hope that they don't do that to go get like, a Zach LaVine or something like that. Because we need the depth, right? Like I would rather than like we talked about this, like go get Bojan Bogdanović and Alec Burks. I think that's perfect. You can keep Russ, give up one of the unprotected first, give up a couple seconds if you have to, whatever. If you can go get Cam Reddish, which we'll touch on here in a little bit, go get Cam Reddish. And there you go. You got two guys that can immediately come in and really kind of change the landscape of this team. Allows Russ, AD, and LeBron to just have more range, easier to get to the basket. They don't have to fight as much because now you can't leave Alec Burke and Boyan open because they're both shooting 43% plus. And it's like, so now the Lakers are in a real position where it's like, okay, like we have threats on the court at all times next to LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. That just that's going to elevate them. It's going to elevate those shooters. It's going to elevate Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis, he's a willing passer out of the post as well. So you just add so many different sort of layers to the Lakers team by just doing a simple trade like that. It's not like people, you think Boyan and Alec Burke, it doesn't sound like they're not the sexy names, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. Like people love you're like, oh, like Boyan, but like when you really think about it, you're like, well, Boyan shooting 50, 40, 90 almost. He's shooting like 43% from three. That's really good. And then you got Alec Burke who's shooting like something insane, like 45% from three. It's like, oh, wow, that's really good. So like you put those two together, you're like, oh, well, now we go from like being an atrocious 3-point shooting team to a good 3-point shooting team. And we need multiple shooters, right? Yeah. Like just going and getting Buddy Hield or just getting Bojan Bogdanovic, it makes us better without a doubt. But one shooter is not going to solve all of the Lakers shooting problems.
Yeah.
It's just not. Like, it's just not going to happen. But whatever moves you can do to go flesh it, whatever moves you can do to get that. Look at the Spurs deal. Look at whatever. My point is just get two solid rotation starting level pieces, ideally that can shoot. To now all of a sudden you have you're in a position to where it's like, okay, well now we got an actual lineup next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Like, there you go. And now you're off to the races, in my opinion. So I don't know. Hopefully they can figure something out and they can kind of work out if they decide to trade Russ, work out a Russ trade. I'm not against it. I'm all for it, but it's got to be a smart move. It's got to be a good deal because you can set yourself back. You can make things a lot worse on yourself.
Yeah, and you could do that. Like if they stop. We're trying to be like a super team. We're trying to build a super team, and I think we need to stop trying to build a super team and just get guys who can contend at a very high level and be consistent night in and night out. I agree with you. I think that's what's going to carry you more so the long run. Because even if you look at the super teams, the historic super teams, they've had a great supporting cast, and if they didn't have that supporting cast, then they wouldn't have really made that run. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. We'll get a star later, but build on what you have now. We don't need a DeMar DeRozan. You know what I mean? We don't need a superstar heavy. I feel like it's just because if we trade all our pieces just to go get that one star, it's not going to be worth it. Russ is such a big piece. I feel like if we use him to go get 4 or 5, I feel like especially if they're developing players, it just only makes more sense too because they're only going to improve. If we're going to have these guys over for the next 4 or 5 years, they're only going to get better. So how they are now, it's just a starting point for you, really. So if you really want to look at it long term, you think, okay, here's where we are now. Here's where we want to be within 5 years. These guys are only going to improve. They're going to, get the chemistry together. So it makes more sense. Versus if you get a star, it could be a short-term and very short-lived thing. Because if that star gets injured, then what happens? Look at our team now. You know what I mean? Like AD. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's we're so AD heavy and LeBron reliant that if those two guys go down, we don't really have a team. No disrespect to Russ and Reeves and all the guys, but it's not enough to win games night in, night out.
Yeah. And not just that, but I mean it's easier to integrate rotation role guys than it is to integrate another star. You go and get a guy that's used to being a number 1 option and now he's got to be the number 3 option. Yeah. It's a huge change, right?
Van Fleet, I think would be a perfect ideal. That's kind of because he's not a superstar, but he's still a very, he's a pretty good player.
Level
exactly,
guy.
Yeah. I think that's what we need.
He would be a good complement next to LeBron James. Problem is that one, it's just the money he wants. He wants $30 million a year. He's just not worth it. And now there was a report today that that the Toronto Raptors are considering keeping him. that they're considering working out a new deal. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah, I saw that. I was like,
yeah,
oh.
I mean, like I said, asking price is everything. And if it doesn't work out, they can't come to a new deal, then maybe we could swoop in. But sticking with the star thing, a video that I made over on Ed Stands Lakers posted about an hour ago. The Washington Wizards have essentially made everybody available. They've made Hachimura available. Kyle Kuzma's obviously been in speculations and rumors and everything with the Lakers, without the Lakers, all that stuff for some time. Porzingis, like basically their entire roster is open for trade. If they start selling everybody off, I really think that greatly increases the chances of the Lakers getting Bradley Beal. And just before I dive into it is I don't want them to go get Bradley Beal. I don't. Again, I want the depth route, right? Get 4 or 5 solid rotation guys. Go get some guys that can come in and really make an impact around and trust the stars you already have. Bradley Beal's contract is absolutely insane over the next several seasons. Like as you get towards the end of that contract, you're paying him like $60 million a year. He's already injury prone. He probably is best suited as like a number 2 or 3 option as opposed to like your best player. I don't think he's the best player on a championship team, but I think it's like your second, third option, like primary, like just if he's just like a scorer, then I think he could work. I think he'd be fine. But the reality is it's the Lakers. Lakers love to star chase. They love the big game hunt. They love to do they love the names. Bradley Beal is a name on a jersey that they could say, oh, look, we went and got Bradley Beal. So I absolutely, without a doubt, if Bradley Beal becomes available, the Lakers are going after. They're gonna get him if they can realistically get Bradley Beal. The thing is, though, is that, and the reason why I think it's starting to look very likely, if they trade Kyle Kuzma, they trade Hachimura, like unless they get some like more ready now players, I don't see why Bradley Beal would stay. Because like they're already not good. You're trading the guys that are good. If you're Bradley Beal, who now can actually can request a trade if he wants to, we're after the 15th. So he could say, I want you to trade me now. And if they don't if they're trading away all their good players, why would Bradley Beal want to stay there? Now, Washington could, just pull a Brooklyn Nets Kevin Durant and just say, hey, you signed the contract, we're not trading you. But if you're them, why? If you want to, and there was even like a month ago now, it's been a while, but there was even from one of like the Wizards guys, like one of the big reporters, I'm blanking on his name right now, but one of the big Wizards insiders said like Washington would be foolish if they trade Kuzma and they trade basically all their guys. Like if they trade them, they would be foolish not to take the Lakers trade, which I do agree. Like, again, this is coming from a guy that does not want Bradley Beal on the Lakers. Like, I wouldn't be mad about it. I'm not going to be upset about it, but I don't want Bradley Beal. I want to go the depth route. I really do. I'd rather go the depth route. But
the Lakers trade as in what though? Us giving up Russell
Westbrook and 2 first-round picks for Bradley Beal. And
Bradley Beal and
the Lakers will give whatever they want. The Lakers will give whatever. If they want Max Christie, sure, take Max Christie. If they want, because that's just the Lakers. That's what the Lakers would do. I just think that that's not the best course of action, but it is something that the Lakers would absolutely do. And if Washington is going to blow it up, it makes 0 sense for them to keep Bradley Beal and get off of his salary, get off of his money while you can. Let it be the Lakers' problem. Dump him on the Lakers. Thing is, too, is that, and the reason, like, for those that maybe watch this and go like, well, like, why would they want what the Lakers would offer? Because what else are they going to get? What team has the salaries to match that isn't going to be long-term salary? No one. Like, what team is looking at Bradley Beal and going, man, he's the missing piece we need? Probably, I don't know, no one, if so, very few. Like the Lakers, as much as it pains me to say, the Lakers are the sucker in the room. Right? The Lakers are the sucker in the room that would look at that and go, yes, that's what we need. We need the star. And we just keep hearing reports from everybody. The Lakers are are trying to convince LeBron that they're going to get Damian Lillard or they're going to get Bradley Beal, or they're going to do this. You just keep hearing Bradley Beal's name get picked up over and over and over again. Usually when there's smoke, there's fire. There's something there.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal has a no trade clause. He has that, so he can dictate where he wants to go. It's just the more that I'm like keeping an eye on the Wizards and all the moves that they're trying to make, the more it looks like Bradley Beal is maybe on the trade block come the trade deadline. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on the situation?
Well, look, he's 29 years old, right? Yeah. So he's relatively young. My thing is, if he comes to the Lakers, because you mentioned what he would want, like why would he really want to stay there? And if he's thinking long term, it makes sense, because if he wants to stay there and potentially be like the face of the Lakers in the next few years, yeah, sure. You can build a team around him, because that's a player you can build a team around. He's not, he's not a Kyrie level or anything crazy like that. But I mean, hey, you can build a team around him, I think. So, like I said, he's relatively young. We can make that move. I just don't think it really does anything for us, because it's like, okay, we go get Bradley Beal, and then what? You know what I mean? We still have a halfway healthy AD. Like, what does that really solve for us? We get another scorer, great. Hey, look, amazing scorer, can put the ball in the hoop. But it's like, okay, so now we have like this half of a team that, like, the stars don't really have any reliable pieces. You know what I mean? So I don't like it. I don't like it. It's just, to me, and my thing is, if you're the Wizards, like, it's so weird. That team should work. Am I right? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but if you look at that roster on paper, that roster should work. It's a little clunky and weird, but
kind of, that's what I was just gonna say. It kind of looks like a bunch of random players thrown together. It
does, but they're like pieces that you would think like, oh,
Bradley Beal, Porzingis. Like, the problem is that they don't have a point guard. Like, who would be perfect with that team? Is Russell Westbrook. Like, if Russell Westbrook, I'm dead serious. Like, if Washington, let's say the Lakers trade Russell Westbrook to the Charlotte Hornets, right? And then Russ gets bought out, the Wizards should immediately be calling Russ and saying, come here. Because the problem is it looks like
so you think they want Russ to keep him and not just clear cap space?
No. If they trade Bradley Beal, they're gonna clear cap space. But what I'm saying is, like, let's say that move doesn't happen. Like, let's say the Wizards just stand pat. They don't trade anybody. They want to keep Bradley Beal, which very well could still be the case. I'm not saying that they will trade Bradley Beal. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like, if they do decide to blow this all up, I don't see Bradley Beal sticking around. Not just that, but I mean, he had an entire interview, 2 of them. But the one that sticks out was the Taylor Rooks interview, where he basically said, I mean, he said on multiple occasions, one, that the only reason he re-signed with the Wizards is because there were no other options. Like, that's usually not a good sign that your player wants to be there. It's like, oh yeah, like, why are you working this job? Because there's no other job offers out there. It's like, so you don't really want to be here. It's just, you need to make money. You just want the money. And that's basically what he said. And 2, he said that he would leave Washington if it meant him competing, that he wants to win in Washington and he would love it. And he did say that it is frustrating at times that, whenever he hears trade rumors, it's always about him going somewhere rather than a player going somewhere here. He's tried to recruit players. It never works. None of them want to go there. And he said it sucks. But he said he wants to win, and he'll go where he feels he can win. So he's not against leaving, right? But if they do decide to keep him, and let's say they end up, like, let's say the Lakers do whatever deal. Like, let's say it's the Lakers deal, whatever, right? Lakers do some deal involving Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook gets bought out. If Russell Westbrook gets bought out, if I'm Washington, I'm calling Russ immediately, because he played great with Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal really liked him. They worked actually pretty well together. But that team has everything except for a playmaker. And Russ would be that perfect playmaker. The problem is that they have, like, Monty Morris, who's really just a shooting guard playing point guard, and Bradley Beal doing something. They don't have, like, that glue piece. And the way that Russ has evolved into this playmaker for the Lakers, if that can translate to Washington, then I actually think Washington could be very scary. Like, if everyone's healthy, I mean, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Hachimura, Kyle Kuzma and Kristaps Porzingis might be the best 5 in the
Imagine
league.
seeing him and Porzingis together. Like, he's good at AD, but imagine
Oh
seeing
yeah,
him
he's
with
gonna make him better. He's gonna make Bradley Beal better again.
He plays better when he has like a true center, aka like AD. So it would be nice. It would be fun to see. I would love watching that. But I'm selfish, so I'm like, no, I want Kuz. Like I want Kuz back. You know what I mean? Especially now. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I just I do. I think that if they have an opportunity to go get Bradley Beal, I think the Lakers will do it in a heartbeat. I really do. I don't want them to do it, but that's the Lakers. That's what the Lakers would do. And that would be their justification. And they would look at it as like, okay, we got LeBron for 2 more years. What are we going to do post LeBron? Because that's the big concern. Well, when LeBron leaves, we have Bradley Beal and Anthony Davis to build around. That's how they would look at it. So the Lakers, if Bradley Beal is available, they will undoubtedly trade for. If they have the opportunity to trade for him, they will. They're not gonna choose an alternative. Like, they'll go get Bradley Beal. I just hope that it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't come to fruition, because if it does, then I just think the Lakers, like I said earlier, the Lakers are the sucker in the room that would take that bet.
Well, next to desperate, like we're right there on the borderline of like desperate for a player.
Though. I think
at this current moment, like I'm not talking like when AD comes back.
Even then, I don't like. I think the perception is that we're desperate. I think that,
and that's why other teams want to play us.
Yeah, and
I like, oh yeah, you need the pieces, so give us 2 first. Like you can,
I think that's the perception amongst a lot of fans, other teams, and maybe even part of the front office might look at it as desperation. But I don't think we are, and the reason for that is like we've shown without like 5 of our key guys this season that we can still win games and be competitive and compete with the best of them. That's not a desperate team. Like that's a good team, fair. Right? Yeah. And then Anthony Davis comes back. Like I said, you get a piece, you get a quality piece or two. The consensus is, and this is the biggest reason why I think teams want to gut the Lakers, is because I think the teams kind of feel, I don't necessarily think they believe the Lakers are desperate. I think that they believe if we trade them these pieces, there is a very good chance the Lakers win the championship. The West is very wide open. Anthony Davis is playing like the best player on the planet. LeBron James has shown that he's still LeBron James. LeBron and Russell Westbrook right now are carrying a bunch of scraps and actually staying alive and relevant while Anthony Davis is out. If we trade them, again, just using this as an example, if we trade them Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burke, those 2 with Russ and LeBron are good enough to get them into the playoffs. And then you add Anthony Davis, they might be one of the best teams in the league, right? Like, that's how I think teams are. That's why I think teams want to gut them, because no team wants to be the Memphis Grizzlies and trade them the missing piece that wins multiple championships, right? Like, no team wants to be Grizzlies trading Pau Gasol to the Lakers, and now the Lakers win, are in 3 straight titles, like, or in finals, 3 straight finals. But that's what I think. Yeah. I don't think it's a desperation thing. I think it's more the perception is like they're not that far off. And that's why I don't think that if they do look at it as a desperation, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
But no. But my thing is, with some of these teams, if the teams are trying to tank this year anyway, I understand not giving them that piece that helps them win. Like, I mean, hey, if you start a dynasty, you should be kicking yourself in the foot. You should be like, yeah, we probably should have given that one out. But like, just if we win it like a championship this year, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those like a tanking team giving us those pieces. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we did that, but we were trying to tank anyway, and it sucks. You're right, but you make a good point, because if we're competing with the best teams in the West right now, yeah, the West isn't amazing this year, but they're okay. So it's like, you kind of wonder like, how are we really going to fare up against like the East Coast? Like, let's say, all right, a team trades us the pieces we need, we get to the finals. Like, you got to like, yeah, that would suck. That would suck.
The only teams in the league that I'm like, man, they would be like right now. I'm not talking about, I'm saying like no trades, no nothing, just right now. The Lakers currently constructed. The only teams I look at and go, man, I don't know if we could beat them in a 7-game series is Boston and Milwaukee. Those are the only two teams.
That's fair.
Those are literally the only 2 teams that I look at and go, I don't think we can beat them in a 7-game series. There is not a team.
I feel like Dallas will be a tough series, though. I feel like I'm not saying we couldn't beat them.
So either. I think a lot of the guys are they're going to be too Luka reliant. Like I don't. There's not a team in the West that I look at currently constructed, assuming Russ, LeBron, and AD are healthy. Like let's say the playoffs start next week. AD's coming back.
Yeah,
we're in the playoffs. Dallas, I don't think Dallas can do anything. Memphis, I don't think is there yet. Still. I think that
I'm more concerned about Dallas than
Milwaukee. Need their lumps. It's the same exact things that I said about last season, and all of it came true. Everything I said about Memphis last season all came true, and I still feel the same way this season. The Warriors are the Warriors, so they're tough. Got to watch out for them if you play them, but that's just because they have the championship pedigree. But Pelicans, I still think same thing as the Grizzlies. They're young, they're inexperienced. If push comes to shove, they're going to get exposed. That's what ends up happening. Again, I like Denver. We always have Denver's number. Like whether we have AD or not, it always seems like we have a chance to beat them. So I'm not really worried about that. Like there's nobody in the West that I look at and go, man, there's no way we can beat them in a 7-game series. Does that mean that we can beat everyone? Maybe not, probably not. But I don't think that there's like if the Lakers walk is probably the wrong word. But let's say the Lakers won the West. I don't think anyone would be surprised. Like as the Lakers are currently constructed, because it's like, yeah, that makes sense. The West isn't really that good. They have Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook. So they probably should win the West, right? Like if you just look at those three. So I'm not really worried about that. Like I said, the only concerns that I have are the Bucks and the Celtics. I look at those two teams and I'm like, they're so far ahead of everybody that I don't think that I'm not saying we can't. LeBron could just turn back the clock one last time. AD could be an absolute monster. Like you never know. Like never say never. We've seen stranger things, but I just look at them and go, man, I would feel very uncomfortable if we played one of those two teams. If we played any other team for whatever reason, if the Sixers ended up coming out the East, I'd be like, Lakers are winning the championship. Let's go. If we were to come out the West, but like if we did come out the West and we played Milwaukee, I'd be like, oh, I think we lose that series in like 5 or 6. If we played Boston, I'd be like, we probably lose that series in 6. Like that's just kind of my thoughts right now. But the right trade, the right move or two, then that could change everything. And now all of a sudden you're in the position to where it's like, okay, well now I'm not really worried as much about Boston. I'm not worried about as much. I don't think we're that far off is kind of my point.
No, we're not. Like, now if we were in the Rockets position right now, I would say, okay, yeah, like it's time to just like kaboom the whole thing. But like, we're not like, we're really not that far. It's weird because we're so middle of the pack kind of ish, sort of, because we're just a couple games away. But it's just,
everyone kind of is, at least in the West. I mean, you look at
that's true. It's not that far,
Like the 5th through the 13th seed are all like 2 or 3 games apart. Like that's like so it's not like anyone's really night and day ran away with it. So that's the thing. Like, look. If we had Anthony Davis this entire stretch, I think we're like the 3rd or the 4th seed right now. The way we have played, like if Anthony Davis never got hurt,
worst,
the way we were
4th or 5th.
Yeah, I at the very least, I think we're a playoff team. Bare minimum, we're in the playoffs right now. But I look at, granted, hindsight is always 20/20. But I look at like if everyone was healthy, Davis was playing the way that he was playing, LeBron and Russ playing the way that they're playing right now. The other guys are playing the way like I think we would have been rocking and rolling. All these other teams just keep losing. I don't think we would have had this back and forth with these other teams. And I really think the Lakers would be in a position right now where it's like, oh wow, like okay, like we're legit in the playoffs. We're top 4 seed. I think we'd be probably 7 games over 500 by now. I think we would. I just think we'd be in a much better position than what we were or what we are right now. And instead of fighting for our lives, we'd be. I think worst case scenario, our record is flipped. So instead of 20-24, I think we're 24-20. And so like that would put us at we'd be basically the we'd be tied for the 4th seed, or in a half a game out of the 3rd seed. So that's what I'm saying. Like, even with our poor start, this team is a playoff team. Like they are. If everyone's healthy, this team is at least a playoff team. As much as people like to clown and say, "Oh, like the Lakers aren't even a play-in team," da 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 da. Like the Lakers are only 2 games out of a playoff spot right now, and they haven't had Anthony Davis for the last like month and a half. LeBron's missed games. They don't really have much talent. Austin Reeves is out. Lonnie Walker's out, and we're still only 2 games out of the playoffs. You're telling me that if everyone was healthy and Anthony Davis was here, we wouldn't be in the playoffs? Of course we would.
Yeah, no, of course we would. No question about it.
Yeah, we'd be one of the top teams in the West, hands down. So you look at that, and I just don't know why the Lakers wouldn't want to do a trade. But that's kind of like my big argument for like why you should do something. Because with Anthony Davis, you're probably a top 4 or 5 team in the West. And you go make a trade or two, you're probably the best team in the West. So, I mean, if you're top, let's say you're top 4, like, right? Like, okay, you're top 4 right now. You're telling me if you go get Boyan and Alec Burke, that they don't make you at least top 2, that they don't move you 2 spots ahead? Of course they do. So I absolutely think like, I don't know why the Lakers aren't looking, and maybe they are.
And you have to read the room too. Like, so it's like, okay, look, we have injured players right now. So unless you have a actual tap on when those players are going to come back, which I'm sure they do, they have a general consensus, but like you can never guarantee a player's like, so you have to like put in contingency plans. Like making a trade right now only kind of secures, I feel like, at least a play-in spot right now. You know what I mean? A good trade that makes sense. Because if, like I said, if we're trying to make a decent run this year, you kind of, like you said, you kind of have to make a trade. You really do. You really don't have a choice. Because like I said, if you don't make a trade, then you run the risk of just your rotations literally just flopping, and you can't win a championship that way because players are in and out of the lineup due to injuries. So at bare minimum, go get 2 or 3 good role players, and you're right there again, I think. But then you take the players that are injured right now and put them back into the rotation. And yeah, we're a killer team as is, I think, but we're 100% right. Like a Boyan add-on, or something like that, like something not too crazy, but just enough to just push us over the edge. I would be excited for it. Like I would go into the playoffs like, yes, like let's we could come out of the West.
get us there. Yeah, I do. I'd feel very comfortable. And that's the thing. Who knows when you're going to have an opportunity to compete and contend for another championship? It might not happen for the next several seasons. So like if you have the window, why wouldn't you want to capitalize on the window? That's my only thing. So I don't know, but we'll see. Before we move into the next topic, let's say hi to some of the chat. Let's answer some chat questions real quick. I already got to those ones. Where were the new ones? Here we go. I want that bum Russ off this team. Never liked even before he joined the Lakers. LeBron dropping 40 tonight. I wouldn't mind it. Oh, I saw a stat that LeBron has now scored 40 points against every team in the league except for the Clippers. So
dang.
So confirmed. LeBron's dropping 40 against the Clippers on Tuesday. That's what's happening.
Yo, that's crazy though. If you think about like how crazy of a stat that is. Like think about it.
He scored 40 points against every
33 teams in the NBA. So it's like, dang. Like
he scored 40 that many times. Like he scored 40 against every single team. Except for the Clippers, which I think is crazy.
I give him a hard time, but I gotta clap that one up. That's an amazing stat. I don't know that a single player has ever done that in the history of.
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest. Cam Reddish is help to the Lakers for the playoffs. I would love Cam Reddish. I made a video about it earlier on the Laker channel. I had Stan Lakers.
Yeah, we should get to it.
We can transition to Reddish here in a moment. I want to get through at least a couple of these questions through the chat, but I talked about the Cam Reddish thing. I just want people to have calmed expectations, right? Like he's not a guy. He's not going to. We're not trading for Jeremy Grant here, right? He's not a guy that's going to come in and be a 30-40 guy.
Yeah,
he's a guy that yes, absolutely can be solid, and I do think helps. But I just don't want people thinking like we just got the next like big star or something.
Yeah.
Who else is going to sign Russ to a starting position for more than $10 million at this point in his career, though? I mean, I don't know. You'd be surprised.
There's probably more teams you think, Zach. Just a
Don't put
little
it
bit.
past the Knicks. Don't put it past.
We already talked about the Wizards.
Yeah, the Wizards. Like, I'm sure there are teams that would do it. There's some bad teams in this league. LeBron will drop 100 tonight. Okay, not going to happen. Bogdan and Burke. I think you mean Bogdanovich and Burke. Detroit will never do that. Of course they will. Absolutely they will. I mean, they're already talking about Noel and Bogdanovich. Burke is another odd man out. If the price is right, they will absolutely trade him. The Charlotte guys was saying they think Lakers are going to do a trade for Rozier at the last minute. That wouldn't surprise me. I don't think they'll trade for just Rozier. I think they'll try to get a couple pieces, but I wouldn't be surprised if they traded for just Rozier. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm just waiting for the Hornets to just make up their minds on what they're going to do. I'm surprised they haven't started selling yet. Yet Brown will play tonight. Good. Okay, perfect. So insane. Lakers do not want a guard, doesn't fill any voids. Of course they do. Have you seen the Lakers? Like, look, I've defended Rob and this Lakers organization a lot. But if Bradley Beal is available, they will absolutely go and get him. LeBron will most definitely demand a trade. AD as well. Not if they get Bradley Beal. Both of those guys would sign off on that. Ham really needs to coach, though. TB's confidence is waning. Yeah, they definitely. He needs to step up and play better. Or coach better. Listen to John Wall's recent podcast. Beal ain't going nowhere. He doesn't want to leave, and him and Wall were loyal to death for DC. I don't know. John Wall, go look at the Taylor Rooks interview with Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal sounded like a man that was getting ready to leave Washington, and then he later said, because they asked him, they're like, oh, like, why did you re-sign with Washington? He said, because there was nowhere else for me to go. Like, Bradley Beal says in that interview, like, he would leave if it meant him winning a title. So I'm not saying it will happen, but like, I'm telling you, what were you saying?
And no, I'm just saying, we see players like this too. Like, look at like they kind of form a pack, like KD and like Kyrie. Like, they talk together. They're like, look, we're both going to Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of like make this pack. Like, hey, here's where we're gonna go. You know, so like even if Bill leaves, like John Wall could still go with them. Now, I don't know what that trade would look like. That would be a very
John Wall's back on the Clippers, so he's not going to be able to do that. But
that's true.
Lakers will never do that. Absolutely, they would. Absolutely, in a heartbeat. You can never fill out a roster. His contract is massive. So was Russ's, and guess what? They traded for him. Like they would absolutely in a heartbeat. And look, as much as I don't want it to happen, as much as that, like if we're being honest, the Lakers would absolutely do that. Absolutely. This is LA. It's always drama and rumors, and it very well could be. It could just be hype. It could just be build up. You know, no money to fill out a roster. Like I said, the Lakers don't care about that. They traded for Russ, knowing that they're not going to be able to fill out a roster. I hope they don't trade Beal. Yeah, he's talented, but imagine him and AD on the same team. Yeah, they. I don't think it's the move. All those potential injuries combined between those two, and because of the limited cap, the Lakers will be back square one with the ragtag vet minimum group. I agree, and that's my concern. Problem is, again, it's the Lakers. They love the star chase. They love the big game. I absolutely believe wholeheartedly that they would make that deal ASAP if they could. They can't beat Memphis. I think that they could beat Memphis. Memphis has shooting defense and young, and that's the problem is the young part. They don't really have the veterans right now, and they haven't gone through the trial and error of figuring it out. I wouldn't like match them up in the play. Same reason why I said that they'd get smacked against the Warriors. Like they lack that experience, which is a problem. That's why like you saw teams like OKC. Every year they improved, but it took them getting smacked in the mouth a couple times before they were finally able to reach the NBA Finals. That's how it goes because you got to go through that. You know, you go through the first round and you get smacked. Okay, well we win the first round. Now we're in the second round. Then you get smacked. Okay, well now we won the second round. Now we're in the conference finals and you get smacked. And then you work your way, and that's basically like look at all the young teams that have made it to the finals. It's how it always goes.
If you look at Boston, and that's why like I feel like this might be their year. Unfortunately, as much as I would hate that being a Lakers fan, but you look at Boston, the same thing happened with Boston. Like they had to take a tough loss last year, and I think this might be the year. Like I said, I don't want to say that out loud, but
John Wall has been terrible this year. You don't want the Lakers to trade for John Wall, even for Dennis Schroeder. He has not been the answer. I'm telling you. But yeah, that's not the answer. But real quick, Sean coming in hot with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Look here, go ahead, read it because it's got to be to you.
Go get Fred VanVleet at all costs. Look, I hear you. I really do. Like I want him. The asking price is a little high. It's a little skyrocketing high, but no, I think he would be great next to LeBron. LeBron AD. He has experience. He has championship experience. So I don't know. I feel like it'd be good. I feel like he could run the floor, guaranteed bucket. You know, guy that can kind of like run the offense, and like when LeBron doesn't want to play that so heavy point guard role, he can kind of defer a little bit, and then he could still run your offense and kind of have like a swap between the two, kind of how you have with like Schroeder and LeBron, or like LeBron and Russ when like Russ is on the court. So no, I think it would be good. I know you feel like the price is just a tad bit too high.
I don't mind. My problem is that you have.
What is he asking? 30 mil?
Roughly. I mean, it's supposedly turned down 114 million over 4 years, which is basically 28 million. So obviously he didn't do that for less money. He did it for more money. I don't mind VanVleet at all. Here's my problem is you got to trade. And what is that price? Like, are you giving up a first round pick for VanVleet just to overpay him? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, like if like you could get, you know, Gary Trent Jr., VanVleet, and like a Boucher or something like that, like get something like that, then maybe, because you know, you're gonna have to overpay first. Yeah, you're gonna have to overpay VanVleet, but you know, it's like, okay, well, at least we got him, we got Trent Jr., and we got, you know, a sizable wing, small ball center type thing. Like, then I think we can kind of justify it more. But I just think, like, if the Lakers were to just go trade for VanVleet, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you'd have to get other pieces attached. But again, thank you so much, Sean. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Lakers need to do the Pacers trade ASAP. I don't know how much that's really on the table. I mean, there's been reports coming out, but I don't know how much is actually in that. It does make sense because Tyrese is still out and they just keep losing. So they're falling, and they're falling fast. So I wouldn't put it past them, but I'm not super huge on that trade. If they don't want to trade the first round picks, trade for Cam Reddish and sign the center Leonard. With that healthy, you can achieve more intelligent choice. I mean, right now the Lakers are in a bidding war. We're going to touch on Cam here in a moment. What's going on, Unique? Appreciate you being here. I'm here. What's up, bro? What did I miss? Nothing. Just a normal conversation. We're just talking about all the latest rumors and stuff that are out there. Get rid of Pat Bev, period. I don't mind it. As long as it takes two first. As long as it doesn't take two first to the Pacers. Yeah, like if you could do it for one first, I'd absolutely do it in that case, because then you could go make another move. Every team in the West can say if players were healthy, they would be better. Suns, Warriors, Clippers, Pelicans. I'm not talking about being better. I'm talking about actually like winning. I still prefer Detroit deal with Bogey, Burks for Pat, Lonnie, unprotected first, and possibly second rounders. There are so many injuries in basketball that you need to have a solid 15-man roster. Absolutely. Agreed. Did we trade Kendrick Nunn for Dame Dollar? Yeah, I wish. If only.
Oh, Genie.
If only. That would be amazing. The way we still get to keep Russ on that second group. I would love to keep Russ on that second group. Like I said, if we could find the right moves. The Lakers need the Pistons and the Spurs. Yeah, I would love to do either of those. I'd be all for that. Good luck to the Lakers. Hope we win tonight. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel and all of As It Stands channels, guys. Yes, thank you so much, Gary. Really do appreciate that. Like the video if you haven't liked the video here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed here. We'd greatly appreciate it. Check out everything in the As It Stands network. I have As It Stands, which is just the mother channel. I have As It Stands Lakers, and then we have AIS here at the Lakers Show. We greatly appreciate it. Love you guys. What's up, Beast Benny? Thank you. Love you too. Thank you so much. Yes, add, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, Beast Bendy. You are all very awesome. But
Thank you.
moving to the
Thank you.
last topic, and then we can skate on out of here. Is Cam Reddish. So there were the reports like a week ago now, maybe a little more, but basically there were the reports that Cam Reddish could be had for 2 second-round picks. Everyone's like, why haven't the Lakers done that? And we find out today that it's because other teams the Lakers are basically, sounds like a bidding war against teams like Dallas, Milwaukee. Now, problem with that is that drives the price.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, because they could use another big to sizable wing to back up Middleton, a guy that can come in, play 10, 15 minutes a game.
No, that's fair, but I was just kind of wondering, as far as pieces, what are they gonna? Well, what are they offering? I really want to know.
That's my question too. Like, what's the
very curious?
what's the offer? And I think that there are a couple factors that go into that. So, one, he's a clutch client, so we got an inherent advantage because of LeBron James.
Yeah.
2, I think he would have at least the opportunity for a bigger role with the Lakers. Milwaukee, you're probably never playing more than like 10 minutes a game unless Middleton goes down. And even then, as soon as Middleton comes back, you're going back to playing 10, 15 minutes a game. Not going to get a real role with Milwaukee, and you're probably not going to get a real role with Dallas. You might play. You'll probably play about 15
Dallas seems like a weird fit. Like that would seem like a weird fit for Cam. Milwaukee, I can understand, and LA, I can understand, but Dallas is like the oddball out to me. If you're Cam, if you're in Cam's shoes, I'm looking at Dallas. I'm like, doesn't really seem like there's a role, like a place for me here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really think that would make a lot of sense for them either. But, I think LA offers a better role, more promise. But he is a restricted free agent, so any team could just trade for him and he's stuck. But I think the sort of advantage you have is that, one, he's a guy that has had history dating back to Duke for his work ethic and just commitment to the game of basketball, right? So if you're a team like Milwaukee, if he doesn't really want to be there, do you trade for him? Because I wouldn't, right? Like, guy that doesn't really want to be here, he's already kind of a risk to trade for. He has a history of just not being committed. So you're going to take on a guy that's not really committed. And then on top of that, he's going to come to a place that he doesn't really want to be. I think things could get very difficult, very tricky fast. So that might be an advantage there for the Lakers. But, look, if we can get Cam Reddish, I would absolutely love it. I wouldn't mind it. I want people to understand, like I briefly mentioned earlier, you're not trading for, Jeremy Grant here. Like, you're trading for a project player, essentially, a guy that hopefully can come in and make an impact, which, look, Austin Reeves, Max Christie, guys like that have all carved the role and have found a way to get into the rotation just by, working hard, stuff like that. I also think the Lakers would be great for Cam Reddish because you got LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Darvin Ham is a really good player guy, player coach. Now, Phil Handy is, notorious for that as well. I think you really have a lot of guys here that could really kind of take that young man and mold him and get him right, So I think that from a career standpoint for Reddish, I think the Lakers make a lot of sense. I don't think Reddish would cost a fortune for the long haul. I think you bring him in and you're probably signing him for, $8 million a year or whatever. Maybe it's a shorter term deal, whatever. But again, he's a restricted free agent. It's not like he has much options. You could sign him for as long as you want. If a team comes in and offers, 4 years at $20 million, well, then you just match it, right? So I think that he's definitely a piece that could be very nice for the Lakers. But I don't think he's a needle mover the way people want him to be.
Yeah.
Now, you never really know. It's not like he was in the best situation in New York. He is a guy that even in that poor situation is averaging like 8 to 10 points a game. he gets a real role. He gets a real opportunity. He's in a place where he feels like, okay, like they actually want me here. I actually want to be here. I got guys that I can look up to. I got guys that I inspire to be. Like all of that stuff. That can change a lot and really kind of get him bought in. And he could easily carve a role as a defensive wing. Like even he's shooting 30, like just under 31%.
Like 30% for the three, yeah.
Yeah, he's shooting like 30 point something. He's not shooting the three ball well, but if he can play really good defense, Stanley Johnson, I mean, this season for the Spurs, he's done pretty good. But last season, he wasn't shooting the three ball very well, but it was just his defense was what was great. So if he can come in and kind of be that defensive catalyst, that would be huge. He's 6'8", can play both forward spots. He's 23 years old, so you'd have him for the next several seasons. I mean, you could have him for the next 10 years and he'd still be in his prime. Like that's perfect, so like that's the kind of pieces the Lakers need, stuff like that. So hopefully Lakers can pull that up. But what are your thoughts on Cam Reddish?
With his, I think who would really benefit after like trying to model his game after, like a Lonnie Walker. I feel like playing with Lonnie, almost like look up to Lonnie. I don't. It depends on what we're gonna give up. Like, because what are we offering? What have we put on the table before I? Oh yeah, what we?
There hasn't been any like confirmed like actual offers. It's just
okay.
The only thing that we got was from a Knicks guy that said the Knicks want 2 second-round picks. So a lot of people are like, where's that deal? Why haven't the Lakers gotten that deal done? It's only 2 seconds, trade the seconds. The Lakers probably would. But you got to understand, if there are 3, 4, 5 teams all bidding, if you're the Knicks, you're waiting, right? Because what if one of those teams is willing to give up a first? Wouldn't you rather have a first than 2 seconds? Like would Milwaukee be like, we're going to have probably the 27th pick in the draft anyway. So our best bet is to get a guy like Cam Reddish. Let's just get the guy now that helps us now and the future, rather than maybe we get a guy in the draft that turns out to be that. Like would a team do that? Like, so if you're the Knicks, your best bet is to stay patient and allow this to develop and unfold. And if you're the Lakers, you're hoping that no other team, or either no other team is willing to go beyond a certain price that you can meet, or that Cam Reddish basically makes it known that like he wants to be a Laker. Like if Rich Paul is like, sorry guys, Cam Reddish wants to go to the Lakers, then I think it'll lower the price for the Lakers, and 2, it would all but guarantee that the Lakers would get him, because teams aren't going to trade for Cam Reddish if they don't believe that he wants to be there.
Yeah, and it would be nice to see him go to somewhere where he's actually going to get play time and not just, like you said, not like go back to like a New York type situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think out of all those options, like LA is the best place, because you mentioned as much playtime you're going to get in Milwaukee, you're probably going to get not too much more than that in Dallas. You know what I mean? So if he could kind of just stick it out and like you said, just be a good, develop into like a good role guy, kind of like a,
he'd be a nice piece too for the future. You know what I mean? Like you'd have him, Max Christie, Austin Reeves, maybe. The
only thing is it's a question mark for the future. I like him on this team, but my thing is like moving forward after we move some of our bigger and more key pieces. Like how is it going to look then? You know what I mean? Or is he just going to be a piece in the next few years where we like? Yeah.
I was gonna say the idea is by that point he'd be a year or 2 out of his prime, gets to take on a bigger role, and then maybe he can turn into the guy we need.
Hopefully,
that would be the hope, is that he gets the experience, gets the play time, you develop him, you grow him over the next 2 seasons with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and everybody, and then LeBron might end up leaving. If he ends up leaving, then you have Cam Reddish, who hopefully is ready to take that next step. So I mean, it's a question that is not really going to have an answer until that time comes. But he is a guy that has potential. I mean, he was a lottery pick. Like he was a guy that people like really believed in, because he was the 10th pick. So he's a guy that had a lot of promise, a lot of upside. He was a top recruit. He was everything that you usually want from a lottery guy. And now if the Lakers can snag him, that's just huge for the Lakers. But So, yeah. But anyway, any last little parting words before we get on out of here?
No, we need this win tonight.
Okay.
But we'll take away this game. I don't think there's any question about it.
So far, so good. I mean, we're up 14 right now, so
Yeah.
that's a good sign. But I mean, we'll see if they can keep that up, especially those third quarters. But this should be a good game. But anyway, everyone that's here still, thank you all so very much for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it. And don't forget to like the video. Take a second, subscribe to the channel. It would mean a absolute ton to us. Trying to grow this channel here, and hit that like button. Like I said, go check out my post-game stream at the end of the Laker game over on As It Stands Lakers. I know most, if not all of you, already subscribed there. But again, subscribe here.